important that you understand something about your own self, your own nature, your own function as a species, as a creature, etc., etc. And this learned man has brought to the attention of his readers and to the attention of the society in his day, and perhaps many people reading even now his works, Erich Fromm, that man's experienced continuous births. If we haven't found home in a situation, every new situation is going to form us all over again. But once we find home in a situation, then we keep the context of that found life. It may be augmented, or it may be improved or added to, but we never take off that dress. Once we find home in a context of life, we never take off that dress. The African American's life, the African American's group spirit, the African American's group form, the African American group identity has never been established, right or wrong? Right. Has never been established. And that's why you feel so lonesome. That's why you feel so lost. That's why you feel so depressed. That's why you feel you're not yet there. With all of this material affluence all around you, colored TVs, wealth piling up over your head, you have to push through the wealth sometimes to get to the washroom. With all of that in your life, with all of your degrees, PhD degree in this, master's degrees in that, BS degrees in that, with all of that, you still feel lost. You still feel short of the mark of arriving at home, simply because we have not retreated, stepped back from the white man and say, look, you've led us far as you can take us. Now we're going to build an ideology. Now we're going to build a philosophy of life for the African American man. And you can't help us. Stand aside and watch us do it. And if we want you, we will call on you. Don't you know in your soul that that's the work that's yet to be done? Du Bois started it. He made a hit at it. He struck at it. Du Bois made a strike at it. Carter G. Woodson made a strike at it. Man wasn't even on this land, not even on this territory. Franz was his name. His name is Franz. No, not him. I can't think of his full name, but his name was Franz. He made a strike at it. Not only him, man just died. He was battling it, he was striking at it, he was hitting at it, he trying to do something about it. Benjamin E. Mays. His sensitivities was for that. His sensitivities indicated that that's the direction he wanted to take his people in. But we have not been able to accomplish it. Why? Because we think more of civil rights struggle, more of civil rights protests. We have been conditioned by past experience to think the only way home is through the politicians and the preacher. And that's wrong. I wish we had all day and all week and all month. We need to have a camp. Go to a warm climate and make a camp and sit up 6 months, a year, 2 years if it takes that long. Stay together until we come out with what we need. That's what Moses had to do. Moses got his people and he had to go off into the wilderness. And he had to stay out there until they got what they needed. And when they came back, woo! Now, I'm not trying to pretend that I'm the only one that have this kind of concern, that I'm the only one that want to move us in that direction. I'm not trying to pretend that. So Erich Fromm, in his book, Sane Society, he dwelled on this need in man. He was fascinated by what he saw. in this dynamism of man. And he recognized that that dynamism in man's potential, that dynamism in the spirit of his potential, from that potential arises or emerges a spirit. And many times you don't even know it. You don't know your potential. But there's a spirit that keeps telling you, that ain't enough. No, you ain't situated well enough yet. No, you haven't realized freedom enough yet. You know, and then, well, I'm free as a bird. Not enough yet. I want to be free as a shuttle plane. Even freer. I want to be free enough not to put her out while I'm going the way I want to go, right? Yeah, you see, so man's spirit, it wants to go and move. That's the spirit of your potential. That great potential in you is telling you, get up out of this mediocrity. Out of this mediocrity. Get up out of this inferiority. You have a greater destiny. You're not home yet. Then we have another man, John H. Scanzoni. In his book, The Black Family in Modern Society, he tells us something that's revealing. And since we're addressing the need for us to coexist and cooperate, and we're taking an opportunity here today to extend compliments or to convey compliments to our Christian, to our Jewish, to our socialist people, that while doing this, it is important for us to look at something else. And in this book, it is brought out that the deteriorated condition of the African-American social life, his family, should not be taken as an indication that all of us are given to such situations. That there has been and there still is African-American Christians who hold to the Protestant work ethic. They are not lost. Their families are not lost. They still have disciplined children, healthy children, forward-looking children, children that are not filling up the jail cells. They are successful. And they represent the strength and maybe even the future of the many, many others that have left the better foundation of life. He goes on to say, and this was at a time before my time, before I came into the leadership. He goes on to say that also having similar critics are black Muslims who could not find that in the churches, who could not find that in Christianity. They were unfortunate. They were unfortunate ones. They were not blessed to be have that Christian work ethic and that Christian principle of fine performance in life imparted to them. So they left disappointed, turned their backs from Christianity in disappointment, and followed the loud call of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to a new way of life, to a new concept, to a new future, to a new self-image. And he says that they latched on to that, and now after research, this man did research on the following of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He says now after research, we find that the black Muslims from the lower poverty strata were able to achieve that same work ethic, were able to perform in the same way. That's what this man said even before me, before I came along. So what does that tell us? That if we don't have it from Christianity, and most of us don't, I'm talking about like 97 and 8/10% don't, okay? We need something different. The same old thing and you want to get it. And what is Wallace talking about? So what is that man name? What do you call himself now? W Deen. So what is the E-man talking about? I ain't no E-man, I'm Imam. But that's okay, they don't know. What is the E-man talking about? So, ain't interested in that. That's that old Arab stuff. Arab. So I like his father better than I like him. So he's talking that Arab religion and stuff. If you can't pronounce the name, that should tell you something too. Maybe you shouldn't talk so much against something you don't even know. Investigate. I believe with all of my heart, with every fiber of my being, that God has blessed us as a people by putting us into this situation. Encyclopedia Britannica, just to go back and tighten the thread a little bit. Encyclopedia Britannica, I studied the history of slavery in the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's no ordinary Britannica. I still not ordinary encyclopedia. Okay? And in one chapter of that book dealing with what is called the peculiar slave system, America's slave system that it had in those days of the South, it tells us that it was unlike any other condition of slavery that existed for man in history. In its nature, in its attitude toward the enslaved, it was more different, drastically different from any other slave system in the history of man. Who experienced that? The genes that are in me right now. The genes that are in me right now. The genes that represents the core of my genetic life right now. Don't think of your ancestors always as back there in 1800, back there in the 1700s. Understand that man has upgraded his understanding of human genetic life. And those people are buried and gone, but the genes of those people are in us right now. That's why long time after the man is gone, the man has done his work and gone, some people who read about that man would say another man, say, hey, he got traits just like that man. He got traits just like that man. Man dead and gone maybe 50 years ago. But they knew him, they read about him or something, they, hey, he just got traits just like that man. That's why many people believe in reincarnation. It ain't no reincarnation. The sperm puts it there, it doesn't have to come back. Does that make sense? It's as clear as crystal. Yes. I got the genes of Clara Muhammad in me right now. My mother. I got the genes of Elijah Muhammad in me right now. My father. I got the genes of Willie Pooh, called Wali Muhammad later, my grandfather, in me right now. Quarters Evans, my grandfather on my mother's side. I got his genes in me right now. I got all those people's genes in me right now. The same for you. I got Adam in me right now. I got the genes of Adam in me right now. It didn't go nowhere. It's just been passed on. His genes, just as his genes were made by God, just exactly as his genes were made by God in me right now. In you right now. That's how come you can put a man in the dark, but you can't keep him there if he got the spirit from his better ancestors. If he responds to the genes and the better spirit of his ancestors, you can't keep him in the dark. You come in there and find him with a light. Say, hell, how do you get a light? Wasn't no way out of this place. How in the hell you got a light? God is the one who lights from within. Huh? Now, you know, my critics and those who are too weak to follow me through rough ground, after I talk, they go behind my back and they try to laugh down the importance of what I'm saying to you. They say, did you hear what he said? Man, I got a headache. Really gave me a headache. See, he really spaced out. See, he went way out today. Now, somebody that small should be discounted. All right. Now, let me continue, because I've already spent a lot of time here.
Take your time. Still coming in.
There are many things peculiar in our situation as a people. The situation of our enslavement, the nature and degree of cruelty we experienced while we were enslaved is peculiar in the experience of human beings on this earth. But that's not all we have to look at when we are looking at peculiarities. We have to also look at our own behavior. We are people who have a peculiar behavior. And our peculiar behavior is, in the main, I believe, the results of, or the effects of, I should say, the effects of the peculiar experience behind us, more so than it is owing to any other thing. Though the present, as I said, the present environment, cultural environment that works against the natural functions of human life contribute much to our peculiar behavior as a people and as individuals. But I believe it's owing even more so to that peculiar past experience behind us. The ugly pages of history, the enslavement of the black man, or the African American man. This odd way of behaving is seen also in our choices. Our choices as a people. Where in the history of a people have you read of treatment like we receive coming to a people by their superiors, and when they get free, they walk arm in arm with the people that did that to them, join their religion, accept their concept of God, even though their concept of God does not admit their race? But they accept their concept of God, walk into their religious houses, accept their concept of God, bow and pray and kneel before the images that they have in their religion, that the master's religion has, that doesn't admit my image, that doesn't admit my ethnicity, it doesn't admit my race. I see no African American in their image. I see no African American in their heaven. The heaven is filled with Caucasian angels, European American or European angels. The image is in their own image. But they invited me to it. I went right into it. I joined their religion. I raised up their image over my black plot, my black lot, my black suffering lot. I lift up their image and said, this is Savior. This is the Lord. This is Jesus. This is the Lord. I'm not knocking Jesus. Jesus never saw the damn pictures they paint. So forgive me. Forgive me if I seem harsh. You know, I was reading a book on English once, English composition. And the author of the book, he was trying to help the new writer, or the would-be new writers, learn how to write. And he said something there that caught my attention. He said, quality means a lot. He said, but the best writers, who really are true writers, they will tell you that if you're faced with a dilemma and you have to choose between quality and substance, choose substance and forget about quality. I'd much rather have somebody talk to me about substance than to talk to me in a lot of flowery language, academic language, overly exaggerated language, eloquence about bull. Can I get away with this today? I hope so. Yeah, talk to me about for hours and haven't said nothing, but just left me with a whole encyclopedia of words, nothing but fancy rhetoric. Not knocking education. I studied the dictionary all the time and always try to improve my vocabulary at least by one word a week. So I think it's very peculiar in the behavior of the African American that he has gone all the way for everything that his oppressor has established for him. Now you may say, well, they're not oppressing us now. That's right. But they will respect us more now if we establish more independence in terms of making choices for ourselves, by ourselves. They will respect us more now if we have the courage to follow our ancestral spirit, the best of our past, and grow into something more uniquely ourselves. They will have more respect for us now if we were more a legitimate ethnic pattern. Are you following me? Do I make sense? Am I a clear voice? If I'm not, let me know. I'll go work at it some more. I ain't gonna give up. I think it's very strange, especially for those generations who will read our history 50 years, 100 years from today. It's very strange that we came from Africa before it was named Africa. We were there. Scipio Africanus, Julius Africanus. It was named, that whole continent was named from white explorers. It was named for white explorers and white conquerors. Africa. And practically every state over there bears a foreigner's name. These are the facts. So what I'm talking about is not only a situation that we have to address, even our motherland has to address it one day or another. And there are some people who go around explaining the low spirit and low state of the African American man and his descendants. And they charge that the condition of us is because of the white man's dominance. No, 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 that's only part of it. The condition in us is because of our confused sensitivities. Confused sensitivities. We need to work for home life for the race, home life for the families, home life for the individual, where there's a context, a spiritual context, a set of principles, a set of sensitivities, a network of sensitivities shared by all of us to make us a people, to give wholeness to our life. We need to do some philosophical thinking. We need to go back to what Du Bois said. The extent to which we will progress in the future depends on the extent that we will go in teaching our children to think for themselves. Now, I think it's very strange, it's peculiar, that coming from Africa, coming from an Islamic past, say, oh yeah, but the Muslims sold us into slavery. If that's true, which it is not, Muslims didn't sell us into slavery. Many of us were captured by marauders who raided the coastlines and the small villages and took us from our land by force. And they were not natives of Africa. They were marauders from Europe. This is the fact. All right. Now, not only that, many of us were sold into slavery by non-Muslims who wanted to get rid of their unruly population. So they sold their unruly population to slave traders. Not only that, I could go on naming the incidents, the conditions and incidents that contributed to so many numbers, millions of us being brought to this land and put in slavery. No matter what happened on that side, look at our judgment. If I don't want to be an Arab or Muslim, I don't want to associate with Arabs, I don't want to be close to Arabs because they had a hand or they sold me into slavery, then let's use the same rule. Let's use the same rule. Let's use the same measuring stick. How can you tolerate integration and love and intermarriage with a people that after getting you into their hands did a much worse job on you than they did on you sending you over here? That's a fact. So hey, be level-handed. If you don't want to associate with our religion because Arabs are in it, then you shouldn't want to associate with Christianity because white people are in it. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. Will that heal the mind of the African American as a race? Oh yes, buddy. That's healing salve. That's healing salve. That's what we need. And those who fear to say these things, they don't have God's backing. Those who fear to say these things, those who fear to address the whole life of the African American person and deal with his problems, his deficiencies, his weaknesses in every aspect of his life, even his spirit, even his sense of worth, if they're not willing to go into the deepest quarters and recesses of the black man's life and experience to make him, prepare him for success and progress in this world, they're not ready, they're not qualified. They ought to just sit back and wait till we do the job. They're cowards. They're still foster home children. And they talk tough talk and call me passive and sheepish. But my moral courage makes them look like cowards. Now, what am I leading up to, my dear beloved people? And I don't say that to woo you. I say that because it's in my spirit, in my soul to say it. I love my people. Now, it says to us that the experience, this peculiar experience behind us we call the plantation life, or slavery in the West, or the New World, slavery in the New World they call it, that peculiar experience set us back, so far back, that none of the ordinary remedies will work for us. It set us so far back, I repeat, that none of the ordinary remedies will work for us. The socialist theories of Marx won't work for us. The capitalist theories of the West or the democratic theories of the West won't work for us. We look at it and we can't get the benefit from it.
Right.
The man looked at it and it sent him jutting forward into the future, made him a great industrial nation, a powerful leader among the nations of the world. His fathers wrote that for him. It's beautiful. It's profound. It can help us a lot, but it falls short of getting us home. I repeat, the circumstances behind us that are peculiar in the history of man, they set us so far back that we need something more than the ordinary remedies. Say, well, what is that? Or if you will believe, the Quran is enough. We can just take the Quran and do the job, if you will believe. But you can never get the general community to believe in a holy book. You think it ever happened? It never happened. In the days of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he had a core of excellent believers. And they were the ones that established the life, brought in the system, brought in the environment, and imposed that environment on the dumb ones who couldn't see beyond the tip of the nose. That's a fact. And not only a fact for Muhammad the prophet, the peace and the blessings be on the prophets, not only a fact for him, but the fact for every liberator. He have had to have a core of people who had the sensitivities first. You can be also smart, but if you're sensitized in a way to be adverse, you're going to be adverse. He has to have a core of people with the sensitivity to respond first to the importance of the issues and have the courage to join him and be his staunch supporters. Then he can make progress. Then in time, the strength of the people, because people with that sensitivity, they represent the strength of their people. They will be able to foster in, to force forward that concept, that life, that theory, that ideology, and those structures that will house the life of the people. They will be able to accomplish that, and in time, change the whole life of the whole mass. But it takes time. It takes courage. It takes love. Love for what's right. So I say again, it's peculiar that coming from Islamic experience, they want to play up primitive experience in our African past. I'm talking about the so-called educated. They make a point of trying to play up the primitive experience in the African man's past. What would the Germans do if we or anybody would search their past? They were some of the most superstitious and savage people the earth has ever birthed, the Germans. But they met the torch of enlightenment. They found the torch of enlightenment. And they grew out of their superstitions. And they began the history of civilization for the German man. Now suppose somebody had the power, or suppose the West, Russia and America, that now rule in Germany. Suppose they would impose an idea on the Germans and make them think that their past, the best that they have done in the past, was done during their time of wild man, backwood, dark region superstition. That would be awfully cruel, wouldn't it? Well, you all on the college campuses, you students on the college campuses, African American students on the college campuses, on these university campuses, on these high school campuses, the playgrounds, etc., you have been duped. You are being fooled. You are being told that your past in Africa is primitive religion, ancestor spirit worship, animalism, etc. And they don't want to tell you that you had centuries of a history as scientists, even before Prophet Muhammad. But it didn't last too long. It was only in a small quarter of the African continent. And then Prophet Muhammad came, and with the religion that brought about a renaissance, a revival, a renewal of the interest in science, he didn't only waken and quicken the intellect of the West, Europe, but he also touched the black man's mind in Africa and brought him back to his scientific pursuits. And the result was Mali, Timbuktu, Ghana, etc., etc. That's the glorious past of us here. Islam, Africa, Islam. Who can challenge that? Ain't nobody on earth that can challenge that. And you know it. I'm talking to the learned ones here today, and you know it. So join me and stop fooling our people. Join me in correcting this miseducation that's designed to just send our people away from the thing that will best help them. And because it's Islam, something that will make them different in America, something that will give them a different distinctionality in America, there are people, bad elements in the American society, bad elements in the American government, bad elements in the halls of academia that don't want to see us come into that because they take pride in us being their children. They take pride in us being their adopted daughters and sons. They take pride in having us in their foster homes and looking at us as a foster home generation. They take pride in that. And they know if we become Muslims, we'll break out of the damn foster home. We'll be our own man. They don't want us to be our own man. That's all it is. Sick love, sick jealousy on the part of arrogant white man.
Go ahead, man.
Don't love us too much, white man. Your love is cruel. When you love us so much you don't want us to come into our own, that love is cruel. That's jealousy. He's the great savior. He's the great redeemer of fallen civilization. He's the civilizer of backward nations. He is the civilizer. So his subjects here must